Hey guys, Cadin here, and I'm not too sure why, but I'm really in the mood to make a tier list, so here we are. Today I'll be taking every weapon in this current season and placing them on a tier list so you all can see what I believe are the best weapons to run this season. Some of you may remember the tier list video of every weapon I made a year and a half ago. This video will follow a similar structure to that one, only this video will be of high quality. And by similar structure, I mean I'll be using the same ranking system, the one that the YouTuber Frothy Omen uses. For those that don't know what that is, let me explain it for you, and I ask that you don't skip this explanation because if you do, the rankings might not make sense. S tier is where I put weapons that are flat out overpowered. Anything in this tier either needs to be heavily nerfed or just vaulted. A tier is for weapons that are top tier but not overpowered. Anything here is a great pick that you can hold on to for the entire game. B tier is for weapons that are good, but not quite as good as the A tier guns. There's no problem with running one, and you could probably get away with taking it to the end game, but if you want a higher chance of winning, you're probably better off picking an A or S tier weapon. C tier weapons are what I perceive to be early game guns. If you land on one and it's the only thing you have, it can get the job done, but it's not something you want to carry the whole game. D tier weapons are weapons that are bad, but they're intended to be that way. A perfect example of this is the E11 blaster rifle. It has horrible accuracy because stormtroopers can't hit their shots. If something is in this tier, don't expect it to be changed because that's probably how it's meant to be. F tier is for bad guns that shouldn't be in the state that they are. These weapons are the exact opposite of S tier because they need some major buffs in order to become viable. With the rankings explained, I have one final set of disclaimers to go over with you all. And again, don't skip these, they're important. First off, this list is specifically in relation to this season. Just because I put something on this list in F tier doesn't mean it's F tier compared to every weapon in the game, just the weapons available now. Second, this list is for guns only. Personally, I don't think it's fair to compare a Havoc pump to Wasps, but maybe that's just me. Third of all, there are no D tier weapons on this list. I don't think any weapon this season is intended to be bad, so nothing's going in there. Fourth, mythic weapons will not be included in this list. They're all intended to be overpowered, so they would just all go in S tier anyway. And finally, this is kind of more of a self-imposed challenge. I will not have a script prepared for anything in S or F tier. I'm just gonna let what I'm thinking flow out, so if those segments sound a little less organized or unhinged, then that's probably the reason why. Now with all that out of the way, we can finally get to the tier list, starting out with the assault rifles, and our newest gun, the Mark Alpha. So, funny story, this gun kinda came out while I was writing this script, so I was initially going to be talking about the Red Eye, but I guess Epic had other plans. Anyways, this gun, if it wasn't already obvious by its namesake, is great. I mean, it's literally a rehashed version of the Mark 7, it was bound to be good. Compared to its counterpart, the Mark Alpha has higher damage, a slower fire rate, a slightly lower mag size, and a much longer reload time, and way better hipfire accuracy. On top of that, it also has the same damage range as the Mark 7, going from 50 to 100 meters and doing 90% of its max damage beyond max range, meaning that this thing has insanely good damage retention. When it comes to this gun versus the Red Eye, I feel like I'm in the minority group that thinks this gun is actually better. It can dish out damage quicker than the Red Eye, has a faster time to kill, and performs way better at close range. The only major downside of this gun is the reload time, and if that's an issue for you, just pick up the Reckless Rifle reload augment. It basically becomes a Mark 7 at that point. Fun fact about the Flapjack, if you kill someone with it, it shows up in the kill feed as an LMG. The only reason I'm putting this weapon in the AR category and not the LMG category is because it would be the only weapon there. Anyways, like the MK, this thing is great. Decent damage, high fire rate for an AR, huge mag size, and incredible accuracy. There's not really a great reason to not run this thing. In fact, the only thing keeping it out of S tier are its damage ranges and long ass reload time, though it's still not as long as the Alpha. The damage ranges on this weapon are actually the same ranges as a Chapter 1 assault rifle, going from 50 to 100 meters and doing 67% of its max damage past max range. And while there's nothing wrong with that, in fact, this is how I wish all the ARs were, there's other ARs with better damage retention, like the gun I just talked about, the Mark Alpha. But other than that, the Flapjack is a great weapon that you should have no issue using as either your main AR or an AR SMG hybrid. Like another gun coming later in this list, I had no idea this was actually in the game. That is, until I needed footage for this video and loaded into Team Rumble. For some reason, when you jump out of the battle bus, it spawns you with an AK and a pump shotgun. And for those of you who were unaware, the AK is a top tier assault rifle. The only reason it's in B tier and not A tier is because it only comes in green rarity and cannot be upgraded. Regardless, this gun is a beast, with its main selling point, aside from it being an AK-47, being its high damage and accuracy. If you decide to fire it at full auto, the first 5 shots have insane accuracy reset, making tap firing while strafing surprisingly effective. I'm going to keep this segment brief because this gun is only available in one mode, but just know it's a great choice. Well, we're, 4 guns into the video? Already got our first F tier. Not looking very good. I genuinely have no idea why this weapon is still in the game. It's objectively the worst assault rifle to run currently, and it's not even that good by itself. Comparing this thing to the Flapjack, it is literally just a direct downgrade, but that's not even the worst part. The worst part about this weapon is its pullout time. This thing takes over half a second to pull out, which is longer than some shotguns. And it has no business being this slow. It's an assault rifle, and I'm kind of struggling with things to say about this gun that aren't like just me repeating the same thing over and over again, so I'm going to leave you off with this statement that I have. If I were to be just landing on the ground and I had a choice between picking up a gray Flapjack and a gold Havoc, and I was only able to take one of them, I would take the gray Flapjack every single time. No questions asked. I've said all I want to say about that piece of shit, so now let's move on to the shotguns. Now, unlike the Havoc rifle, the Havoc pump is really good. In fact, of all the pumps currently in the game, there's a good argument for it being the best one. Every rarity of this gun does at least 100 body shot damage. On top of that, it comes with 6 shells in a mag, has a pretty fast fire rate for a pump, and each individual shell has a relatively quick reload speed. Its main downside is that of all the shotguns available this season, it has the worst ranges, from 6.25 to 30 meters. Despite this downside, it is still the hardest hitting shotgun you can get. Just because the drum shotgun is back, don't sleep on this one. It's still great. The Maven, however, not so much. If I could explain this gun in the simplest way possible, I would say that it's a wannabe tac shotgun. The stats are nearly identical, with both having the same damage, but the Maven having a slightly slower fire rate, smaller mag size, and longer reload time per pellet. The only thing going for this gun is that of the shotguns available now, it has the second best range stats right behind the Breacher, with an effective range of 10 meters and a max range of 50 meters. Even with that said, I still feel like its range is worse than something like the Drum, and that's probably due to its spread, which is the largest of the shotguns. Not to mention that in terms of body shot time to kill, the Maven is also the slowest of all the shotguns. Yes, even slower than the Havoc. Honestly, there's very little keeping this thing out of F tier, and while writing the script, I considered putting it there, but decided against it because the higher rarities can provide some value, but most of the time I'd rather pick anything else. Oh my god, why did they bring this thing back? I think it says a lot that before this season dropped, they actually nerfed the Drum, and it's still super powerful. This is genuinely one of the most oppressive weapons in the game. I mean, during Chapter 3 Season 2, the first season that Zero Build came out, they added this gun, and it literally ruined the mode because of how powerful it was compared to everything else with that game's meta. I said something similar to this in a video that I dropped during Chapter 3 Season 2, but there is just no proper way to balance the Drum shotgun, so I think it just needs to stay in the vault. I don't know why they decided to bring this back with such a minimal nerf that did basically nothing to it. It's still so powerful, and they even added a mythic rarity with 100% accuracy when you aim down sights. It's just getting ridiculous. I'm not talking about this thing anymore, let's move on. The good old pump. As previously mentioned in the AK section, this gun is exclusive to Team Rumble and only available in green rarity, which limits its power. Despite this, it's still the pump. Old reliable, something you can always count on to get the job done. I don't need to explain to you all why this gun is good. You know why, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next weapon. The only thing keeping these next two weapons out of S tier is that they're really hard to come by, only being available in a hollow chest or the grab bag augment. The first one I'm gonna talk about is the Breacher. Now, in my initial draft for this list, I actually had this gun in B tier, but after using it, I realized how stupid I was to have it there, because this thing goes hard. I mean, first of all, it's an exotic heavy shotgun, which some people may dislike due to it only firing one slug, but personally, I'm a massive fan of that. And secondly, with it being an exotic, it has a unique ability, and that ability is that it can one-shot any player-built structure, just like the pre-nerf heavy sniper rifle. However, unlike the heavy, this thing comes with 5 shots, meaning you can make a player waste 50 mats trying to stop you before you have to reload. And even then, reloading takes only 1 second per pellet. A potential downside to this weapon is that once you break into someone's box, you have to wait a full second before firing another shot, but I have an easy solution to that. Swap to your SMG. I know, crazy. Now, while the normal Maven might be mid, the exotic Maven is crazy. If I'm in the mood, I may even run it over a drum, it's that good. This gun is basically a mythic Maven if that were a thing, but when you hit a player, everything starts going faster. Your movement speed, the weapon's fire rate, hell, even its reload speed is faster. When you get this thing accelerated, it has the same fire rate as the pre-nerf combat shotgun, turning it from the slowest killing shotgun in the game to the second fastest, because unfortunately, nothing can beat the drum. Regardless, this gun is a phenomenal pick that should provide you with great results. Now, unfortunately, it's time to move on from my favorite weapons to my least favorite weapons, SMGs. When compared to all the other SMGs in the game, the MP5 is about middle of the road, but in terms of this season, it's the second best, which again means it's the middle of the road. It does decent damage, pretty fast fire rate, normal mag size, kinda fast reload, and in terms of how SMGs are made now, pretty poor ranges. Honestly, this gun is just really unremarkable. I don't know how else to describe it other than just mid. It's not bad, it's just that there's not really a reason to use it since the combat exists, and with that remark you probably know where it sits on the tier list. If you want my honest opinion, the best thing about this gun is the new firing sound it got this season, because that actually sounds really cool. I want to open this segment by saying the same thing that I said about the drum shotgun, but I feel that would be a little bit too repetitive. That being said, oh my god, why did they bring this thing back to the game? This thing has been nerfed not once, but twice, and it's still the most powerful SMG in the game. It's even more powerful than the Stinger was on release day. It has insane accuracy, coupled with the fact that, wait for this, it has first shot accuracy for some reason. I don't know why, but Epic was just like, hell, let's give all the power to one gun and just roll with it. It also has the best range stats of any SMG, coupled with the Stinger and the Charge, from 40 to 80 meters, and keeping 75% max damage at max range. That is so broken for something that's supposed to be a close range weapon. I don't really know what else to tell you other than watch this video by PremFN, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. It'll tell you everything that I want to say. When I first made this list, I actually had this gun in F tier, until I realized it's not that bad. Still though, not that good. The exotic P90 is literally a blue MP5 with 3 more bullets and a way longer reload time. The only redeeming factor of this gun is that you get infinite sprint while holding it, and that doesn't even really help that much in combat. I guess it also reloads 1 bullet per half second while you sprint, which could be useful, but if your opponent sees you sprinting mid-fight, they're probably just gonna shoot you. That's all for this gun, I don't really feel like talking about it anymore. It's time to move on to snipers and marksman rifles, of which there is one of each this season, and I'm happy to report that the new thermal DMR is really good. It's literally just a faster firing, lower damage Cobra with a thermal sight. And for those of you who think the lower damage is a turnoff, I have something to tell you. The DPS on the gold Cobra is 176, while the DPS on the gold thermal is nearly 200. This thing is a machine. The one thing that I think is a little weird about it is the scope. Not the thermal part, the crosshair. I'm not sure what it is, it just feels less accurate than with the Cobra, but I'm pretty sure it's just me. Still an amazing weapon. So I've got a bit of a funny story for you guys. I made the horrible decision to post this tier list on the Fortnite BR subreddit, and pretty much everybody there disagreed with me for the fact that I think the heavy sniper is an S tier weapon, and if for some reason you don't agree with me, let me go ahead and explain why. It's really simple actually, just the fact that it's able to one-shot at any range, even in zero build. And I can kind of understand people who are going to say, oh, but it's a sniper, it's a projectile weapon, you have to lead your shot, you also have to hit a headshot. That doesn't really matter if you're good with it. If you're good with a sniper and it's able to one-shot somebody, you're always gonna one-shot them. I don't know if the people on that subreddit know this or not, but there isn't really a counter to getting one shots. What are you gonna do? Get cover? You're dead. And to be honest, there's not really much else to say. It's a sniper, it can one-shot people. Let's just go ahead and move on to the final category of this video, pistols. And starting us off, we have possibly the most overrated weapon in the entire game, the tactical pistol. Don't get me wrong, this gun is good, with its main benefits being that it's full auto, highly accurate, and has 80% damage retention, but man do people think this gun is better than it actually is. Fun fact, this gun is actually worse than the regular pistol and sidearm pistol, and while the regular one may lag behind the TAC in terms of accuracy and range, the sidearm pistol is just a direct upgrade, and people didn't care when it was in the game, so why do they care about an objectively worse gun now? Probably just because it's automatic, which is nice, but doesn't make it better than the sidearm, and I'm getting off track. Let's just move on to the final weapon on this list, the Shadow Tracker. I made my first gameplay video that I consider to be genuinely good about a glitch where this weapon could shoot through walls, so I hold quite a bit of respect for it. Glitches aside, this gun is still pretty good, with it doing 1 more damage and having 1 more bullet than the gold TAC, and of course the fact that it's able to track people. The only reason why it's not the clearly better option is because it has the same accuracy and damage ranges as the normal pistol, which are worse than TAC. So in my opinion, these guns are on roughly equal power levels, and it comes down to preference which one is better. Personally, I'd probably just stick with the Shadow Tracker, but that's just me. And with that, we have finally gone over every weapon available in the season. Jesus, that took a long time. My recording is at about 30 minutes. If you'd like to support me for my effort, you can do so by liking, subbing, sharing the video, or using my code, Cadin-M. Anyways, that's about it for this video. Let me know where you guys would put these weapons on your own tier list. I'd love to hear what other people have to say. See ya.